And third time back. I really appreciate you coming back on.
Happy to be back, man. It's my pleasure.
Absolute pleasure on my end. I think it's been 2 years.
Yeah, probably.
Wow, 2 years. But I mean, it's always a pleasure to be here because we always do it in the same place, in your place, and I really appreciate you letting me come back. Not inviting me back, but at least letting me in the door.
Oh, yeah, man.
Which is nice.
Yeah. No, anytime.
Yeah. I think the last time I was here, you guys were working on the newest album, the Halfway to 80.
Yep.
Oh man, that was really interesting to hear it finally, because I that was last time I had Phil on, was right around the same time, and I knew the guys were working on something. I was like, ooh, this is it. This is the album.
That's it, man. You got it. You hit the nail on the head.
How long does it usually take you to be, forming ideas and getting them all kind of situated where they need to be before bringing them in to the studio?
I don't know. I don't even recall. It usually just kind of accumulates, like, over time, like throughout the leading up from the end of, after releasing one album, starting from then till the next, just accumulates. At least that's how I am. I don't go, okay, this is going to be a time period where I'm going to write an album right now. It's kind of just things come to me, usually when I don't have a guitar in my hand. So I've probably said that before on the last podcast, probably the last 2 times. But
we got to go over it again, though. It's been 2 years.
Let's go over it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but there's no rules here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's worth repeating. I think. I don't have a set process, and it's usually things come to me when I'm not even playing guitar and not trying to think of a song. Just things kind of magically pop in there.
Is it usually when you're doing like more mundane stuff?
Yeah.
Wow, it's interesting, because I ask people that a lot, like, where does where do you feel like inspired? And a lot of people have a lot of different answers, but usually revolves around not thinking about music.
Yeah, if I try to write, that's just a recipe for not writing. For me, it's weird. If I treat it like a job, it just doesn't happen for me. I don't think I wouldn't make it in the commercial music writing world. I'd get fired, I think, pretty quick.
Yeah, there's certain things that that you just wouldn't be able to, or at least be good at. Like I always thought that, like, being a pharmacist, I feel like I couldn't do that properly.
Sounds really fun though. Like,
it does.
Just like the work environment.
Also, it's like what's going on back there, really, because you kind of see both sides of it if you're in like a CVS and you have a prescription for something, or if you go around in the drive-through. But it's like, really, what is going on? Why am I standing there for so long? That's what I want to get down to the bottom of.
Yeah, that's one of life's many mysteries, man. I've thought about that. I think about it a lot. And yeah, one day we'll get to the bottom of that.
Yeah. Hopefully somebody who's listening to this is a pharmacist and will key us into what's really going on, because like I don't want to be there for 40 minutes.
Yeah, there needs to be like an expose done on that. I think. Right,
like Upton Sinclair, like one of those journalists. He wrote the what's that book about
the jungle?
Yes,
that's
bingo.
That's a good book.
Yeah, but the meat packing industry, right?
Yeah, it's a pretty gnarly book. It's crazy time to be alive.
Muckrakers. That's what the name of those people were that were busting these things that were the ill of society at that point.
Yeah, that book was an intense read.
He also wrote that book, Oil, which, have you seen that movie, There Will Be Blood?
There Will Be Blood. I haven't seen it. It's Daniel Day-Lewis, right?
Yeah.
I bet it's good.
It's a great one.
Yeah.
What are you watching as of late, Chad?
Well, I kind of relinquish. I don't relinquish. I got a girl, serious girl that I care about. I usually just say, "Hey, what do you want to watch?" And she's got some good taste. Lately, been watching, I'm like the last person in the world to see this show, Breaking Bad. It's a pretty cool show. I mean, everybody's seen that but me. Yeah, I dig it. It's got cool writing, cool characters. I'm not a huge TV guy. I don't like to binge. But yeah, I like some shows, mostly older shows, and I feel like Breaking Bad is on the still in the era. When was that made? When did that come out?
2010s.
I feel like, I mean, hopefully I'm wrong, because lately just with newer shows, I find myself not relating to the writing, like the story, like, I don't know, the humor. I'm just kind of like an old man, It's like, oh, I remember back in the old times when things were this way. And I feel like Breaking Bad's kind of still something I can get down with. But I'm sure there's other cool shows out there I'm just missing, just haven't stumbled upon yet.
Right. It's interesting when you finally cave in and watch the show, and then you give your own synopsis of it. It's like, it's either overrated, or it was properly rated, or underrated.
Yeah, and this one is really good. I heard a lot of good things about the show. It's cool.
Was it properly rated, would you say?
Yeah,
Okay.
because I had some people say, "Oh, Breaking Bad's my favorite show." I wouldn't say it's like my favorite show that I've seen. I love the old Twin Peaks.
Great one.
The David Lynch. Well, the tamed David Lynch, not full blown David Lynch. It's pretty wild stuff. But since it was made for TV, it's a little toned down David Lynch, a little more my speed.
Yeah, like it was like CBS too, so it was like not even cable.
Yeah, I think David Lynch, like, unbridled, he gets pretty wild. I mean, I admire his work, but I like seeing a version of David Lynch. All right, you got to make this for TV, so it's a little more subtle. But yeah, anyway.
Right. Yeah, I loved Twin Peaks. It was really good. And then I feel like it got really wild when it came back, the return in like 2017 on Showtime.
I still haven't seen it.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, this is because it's really Lynchian, or however you want to call it. Like, he really gets out there with it. I rewatched for the first time in a while Blue Velvet recently.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Really, really good. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I was like, oh, I gotta rewatch that thing.
Yeah, that Dennis Hopper, he's something in that.
Yes, he certainly is. And I hadn't seen it in a while. I was like, oh yeah, I got it. It was on Amazon or something like that. It was like $1 to rent it. I was like, yeah, okay, I'll rent it, or I'll rewatch this. It's great, because I'd seen it years ago, before even watching Twin Peaks, and I was like, oh, that's the guy from Blue Velvet that's making that. Let me check this out. Really, really good. I was thinking about watching Mulholland Drive, but I was like, let me rewatch Blue Velvet.
I haven't even seen Mulholland Drive.
Yeah, I haven't either. So we just won't know what that's about. We're just not going to watch it at this point.
Oh, we'll get to it at some point.
I don't think
Maybe
so.
Next podcast we'll do like a review.
Yeah, we'll watch it live.
Yeah.
Give our critiques of it.
People would be into that.
Has there been an album or a band that people have told you to watch, to listen to, like people have told you to watch Breaking Bad, that you checked out and you're just like, it's just not for me?
Oh, an album somebody recommended.
Yeah, or an album rec.
But then it wasn't it
up to snuff.
I haven't had like a music conversation with anybody really in the recent past that I can remember, of like someone. I'm trying to think, searching my memory. Well, actually, you just sparked my. This might be interesting. All right, here we go.
Lay it on.
I got something kind of to your question, but not really. But I haven't used like streaming music services pretty much since they came out. I just recently started using Spotify, like only, I don't know, 8 months ago. And it's not because I was anti. I wasn't like against it. It just takes me a while sometimes to, everybody's on the bus, and I just didn't have like a need. Oh, I got to get on Spotify to listen to everything. I was still just listening to records mostly, and it's been cool though, getting some Spotify. I've been checking out some other stuff that I haven't heard in a long time, or new music I haven't heard. So yeah, that's been cool.
Yeah, it's good for that matter, for these streaming services. Like, oh, all right, let me because sometimes it'll just pop up, right? Like with Spotify, like if you play something, it'll play something else.
Yeah, you get the algorithm and all that.
Right.
That's been cool, but I'm trying to moderate it though, because I don't listen to music all the time, and I have a theory, and it could be wrong. I think that listening to music too much can get in the way of your. I mean, maybe that's just for me. I'll just say for me, it can get in the way of my creative process. I need some silence to be creative. I can't just be listening to music all the time. But it is a nice treat, when I'm working, I'll put on some Spotify here and there. So, yeah, it's been cool. Yeah, checking out albums that I have never heard from bands that, oh, wow, I've never heard this album. And that's easy with Spotify. I'm the last person to figure that out. Everybody else has already been doing it.
I don't use the Spot. I use YouTube actually for my music, and that's a really controversial thing to say. A lot of people are against me on it.
Yeah, is that a thing?
It's the thing that I do.
Oh, okay.
And it's not YouTube Premium, which is like a kind of more of a Spotify situation with the premium, because it'll just play whatever, and you could download stuff, which is nice. But I'll just open up YouTube. It's like, okay, let me put on this, and I'll just. Like, even on the ride over here, I was on YouTube. I was just listening to music that way, and that's how I've been doing it since whatever phones were a thing, like smartphones were a thing. I just always used YouTube, and then people started going to Spotify and whatever else, and I was like, yeah, I'll just stick with the YouTube. I know how it works,
Hey, I like to check out some videos, and yeah, it's I was doing that too. Like before Spotify, I'd go on YouTube, and somebody told me, "Oh, you don't do that. You go on anyway. Doesn't matter."
That's what they try to tell you. I don't listen to it. I don't subscribe to the idea of I have to listen to it through.
You go against the grain, man.
Yeah, that's me. Is there a specific song or album that when you hear it, it brings you back to like a time in your life that you first heard it, or like you listen to that and you automatically think like, oh yeah, I remember this memory of this playing and this happening? Is there anything like that for you?
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure, man. For sure. I was just telling somebody the other day about, but I can't remember what it was. But I'll think of something. Like something super nostalgic. Maybe like hearing the band Delta Spirit, like, because I remember that was one of our first tours we went on. It wasn't our first, but it was in the formative years, and hearing the album. God, what is the album? I can't remember the name of the album. Dang it! There's a bunch of hits on there. Anyway, it's got like California and Yamaha and all that. Yeah, Delta Spirit, cool band. Our vibe didn't really fit totally like their fan base, not a lot of shared interest there, but it didn't matter. It was a fun tour. They're cool guys. I really enjoy their music. But yeah, hearing that is super nostalgic, brings me back to that fun time, like cruising in the van across the country and just struggling to make enough money to put gas in the van and have a place to stay, and just having to sleep in the van when there wasn't enough money. It's fun. It's fun memories, But I mean, seriously, not that was like just a simple time. The struggle was exciting, and just going to play big venues for the first time, for big crowds, like on a tour. That was a cool experience. So those albums kind of do that. I mean, that's one example.
That's a good example.
Yeah.
The hunger was there. And you're like,
Yeah.
let's do this.
Yeah. Yeah. The struggle, it was a good struggle. It was character building.
That's it's important to have those moments in your life that you're kind of like up against it, and that sometimes will breed like a new idea or a vision of some sort.
It's like the heartbreak, with the love song. Sometimes you need that rejection, that heartbreak, that to give you that inspiration.
Speaking of going out on tour and these early days, how old were you when Tijuana Panthers began?
I was like 25.
Yeah.
I think like 24, 25. So not like I was a little kid, but kind of was, maturity-wise, I feel like.
You're the young buck.
Yeah.
Going for it.
I still felt like a kid back then.
What were you doing for work at that time? Do you recall?
At that time, I was working at there was different restaurants that I worked at. Busboy, waiter. Started out as a busboy, became a waiter. So it was kind of hard to juggle that, because if you're in the restaurant industry, you're working usually Thursday, Friday, Saturday every week. So you don't get those days off. So that was hard to get that shift switched around. But managed to do it.
Was it the best? And I know that we've spoken about your previous jobs before, Chad, on this podcast. Maybe it was 2 years ago. Maybe it was 2 years before that. But just to go over it again, if I did ask this question, what was your favorite job that you had as a younger man?
Man, maybe waiting tables was my favorite. It's just the time went by fast. Because, when you're busy and you're rocking and rolling, you don't have time to do anything but, or at least me, because I'm a bad multitasker. Like, I had to completely focus on that task. Otherwise, I'd forget somebody's order or, I don't know, forget to bring their food out. I had to be on it. And I liked the speed and the challenge of, I liked competing with my coworkers and comparing, how much did you make tonight? Oh, I made this tonight. I would usually lose, but it was a good motivator.
Right. You need that push.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good for me I need some fire to right behind me to get me moving.
Right. Have you ever tried bartending?
Oh yeah, I've done a little bit of that. Not like, like a banquets, hotel, when I worked in the hotels and stuff like that.
Did you enjoy doing that, or was that like just too this is time consuming and like each making every drink and whatnot?
Yeah, I liked moving around as a waiter more.
In the next life, if there is a next life, what do you think you'd like to pursue?
Man, if I could do it over again, I don't know. Maybe like fly airplanes or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess you fly an airplane.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Top Gun style.
Yeah, I mean that's a little intense. I don't want to be like a fighter pilot. Just cruise, just cruise through the clouds and take it easy.
Yeah, kind of like more like American Airlines kind of deal. Kind of situation.
No, in between that, like still a smaller plane.
Okay.
That just sounds like driving a bus, I mean, it's not the same as driving a bus, but you know what I mean.
Right. Do you enjoy flying just as a passenger?
Yeah, flying's cool.
Kind of steering back towards the music, and we kind of touched on this a little bit before, the Halfway to 80 record. Do you remember who came up with that title?
Yeah, Phil did. Right? I think. Shoot. Could have been Dan. I didn't.
All right.
It's one of those guys.
50-50.
One of those guys, yeah.
When that was posed to you, like, hey, how about this for an album title? Did you think that was apropos for the album itself?
I think I mean the way that the title came, yeah, it came after we had everything. We didn't have like a title in mind, like a theme for the album in mind as we were making it. We were just doing songs, and that kind of, yeah, it just came later. And I liked the concept of it, and it didn't have anything to do with the songs really. I just liked it more. Halfway to 80. Hey, we're halfway to 80, guys.
Do you feel that way? Do you view
No.
it like that?
No.
That you're halfway to 80.
It's not something that it's funny, but I mean it's true, but it's not something that it's not like get up, well, halfway to 80. Yeah.
It is crazy to look at time like that. Like, oh, I'm halfway to this age, or I'm halfway, or I was this age 10 years ago. It's kind of crazy if you sit back and look at it like that.
Yeah. I try not to think about it.
I think about time a lot, and I like to think about this. My great-grandfather, he was born in 1906, right? And that's just, 2 generations above me. And it's crazy to think about time in that aspect. Like it's not been that long, really.
In the grand scheme of things.
The grand scheme of things, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a lot's happened in those. Somebody that was born then did how things were. Maybe they were living in an area like your great grandpa. There's no cars, maybe where he was at, and then you slowly see cars move somewhere in a city. Oh, there's like Model Ts and
right.
And Model A's. Oh, there's, I guess, airplane. Yeah, then planes and all that coming in later, and seeing all and then computers, and yeah, that'd be crazy, man.
Yeah, it's just wild. For his because he lived until 1999. So for that, the time duration of his life, he saw a lot of change.
Oh man,
yeah,
that was wild.
Pretty crazy to think about.
Yeah, the change that we experience, it's not quite like the crazy drastic changes that they saw, that's for sure.
Yeah, but that's probably how he viewed it in his timeline. He's like, oh, well, my parents saw like the Civil War,
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I'm not going through that, but like he saw like the Great Depression and cars being more used and airplanes and all that, like you said. And I mean, and look at us, like we're seeing like all this new AI and all this stuff that's happening in our lifetime.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
How more crazy is it gonna get? It can't get much crazier than this, right?
I don't know, man. I'm just I feel like I'm not shocked anymore. I'm like, the technology's wild. What they do, it's pretty mind blowing.
We had those iPods, and then now look at us, Spotify.
Yeah, like somebody was telling me about Decentraland, or like showing me a blip on Zuckerberg's, what's it called, Metaverse or whatever, and I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Why do people want to do that? Like, who wants to be on that? That sounds lame to me.
Right.
But
I'm with you.
To other people, this is where it's at. We want to be in this virtual world. I'll never understand. But yeah, people are like buying property and art for their what do you call it? Your NFTs and your I don't know crap, obviously.
Right. No,
but,
I don't.
it's
I don't
self-evident that-
understand that metaverse or the NFT thing. I know it's a huge thing, and now a lot of people lost a lot of money on it. But it's like, was this
Oh
even
yeah, okay.
real?
Is it not growing? I thought this was the people I was talking to. Oh, this is the future, man. Everybody's gonna be on this. Everybody's gonna be. Maybe this is like a moot point that I'm making, that things really aren't going that way. That was just like a fad. I don't know. I'm not with the times.
I don't know. I mean, because it keeps on progressing that way, but it's such a weird time that we're going through this stuff, and especially like a new idea like that. Like that's crazy, you know?
Yeah. Hey, I wish people well in their endeavors
Right.
in the metaverse. I don't.
I'm not gonna visit.
I
but-
don't want, I want you to have a good time in your metaverse, but let's keep one foot in the real world.
Right.
Let's make sure to not dive totally in. That's just my advice.
I think it's good advice.
Let's enjoy. Let's keep enjoying nature. Let's keep there's cool things that I think will always be cool, like experiencing going to shows, and they got, this guy was showing me, oh, you can go to a show in Decentraland. There's like a DJ, and your avatar, you cruise up to the party, and you're with all the other avatars, and you're interacting with people, and there's the DJ like spinning the. I'm like, you're not really interacting, but maybe to them you are, and they'd prefer that sort of metaverse, decentral, like virtual interaction. And again, maybe what I'm talking about is completely not. Maybe this is in my imagination. I just feel like there's a trend towards being on the. People want to be on the screen more than they want to be in the real world. And I hope it doesn't continue to go that way.
Right. Speaking of real life concerts and whatnot, what was the first concert you ever went to, Chad? Very first one.
God, let me think. I remember my sister. I was adopted, so came along quite a bit later. I can't remember how old she was when. Yeah, she was probably like. I was like 12 and she was like 22, 23. And she surprised me. She took me to Anaheim Stadium. It was my birthday. And she took me to a U2 concert. And that was really cool. And Public Enemy opened up and the Sugar Cubes opened. And it was a really rad concert. It was the U2 Zoo TV album. I think it was called Zoo TV. Yeah.
That's a wild lineup.
It's a pretty wild lineup. It was a fun concert. That was like my first like real. I think I'd been to like a small little thing, maybe. I don't know. I can't remember, but like a real concert. I think that was it.
That's it. That's a good introduction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a cool show.
It's not bad.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good experience.
Now, were you a fan of U2, or you just kind of
Yeah,
went?
no, because my sister, I love like the old, that's like, going back to your original question about the albums, like making me think about times from the past or nostalgia. Yeah, the early U2 was very much that way for me. Those old albums like Boy and Unforgettable Fire and like War, all that. Like my sister would listen to U2. We'd be in her Volkswagen cruising somewhere. I mean, that was one of the bands I remember well. So that's like a sound of my childhood. So those songs kind of bring me back. I'm not really into the new U2 so much, but yeah, those old albums, those are nostalgic favorites for me.
That's good. Some good nostalgic kind of favorites, I think.
Yeah, I was really bummed when they did that stupid. What was the thing where like you automatically have
Oh yeah.
the album on your phone. I was like, oh, that is so stupid, guys. Come on. Who thought that was a good idea?
You preferred if it was like a good album though.
Oh, I didn't even listen to the album. I don't know if whether it was a good album or a bad album. It's just I didn't like the idea of just having it automatically on.
It's there if you buy.
Yeah, that's really that's just yeah. I don't know what they were
An
thinking with that.
invasion.
It's like let people buy the album, guys. Come on.
I think that's
Don't make people listen to it.
right.
You know.
Going back to one of the songs that you wrote, Money Jar, off of Wayne Interest, and you speak about riding in a car as a kid listening to the radio. Was that kind of inspired by that time frame of
It was
driving around with your sister?
exactly, yeah. Because I was hearing that was the '80s, you know, when I was a little kid, and so I was hearing the Smiths, obviously, and you know other like kind of just new wave '80s stuff that I really liked, and yeah, that song is full on. Yeah, that's definitely that memory is kind of encapsulated in that song.
What do you want people to feel when they listen to these songs that are like, you know, about a personal feeling, like driving around with your sister in her car and listening to songs and such, and spending time and talking about these people that are really close to you?
I mean, I don't set out, at least I don't, maybe I do and I don't realize it, set out to like provoke certain feelings or thoughts. But at the same time, I hope that a song does that. You know, if I can give them a taste of a feeling that I had, like with the song, like kind of put someone in that emotional space or that sentimental space. Like if someone said, "Hey, you put me in that space," I'd be like, "Oh wow, I did." That's satisfying. But I mean, I can't say that, "Oh yeah, that's what I do, man. I craft a song and I know how to have that effect on people, man." I mean, that's cool if it does. But it's like it's a goal to shoot for, but I don't know how you do that. Sometimes it just happens by accident. I think people have kind of said that about certain songs here and there, and that makes me feel good. If there's a song where somebody says, "Oh yeah, that reminds me of a thing I went through in my life." I mean, I don't think our songs are all super deep and, "Oh wow, look at all that meaning there," but there's little things maybe where I remember a guy telling me one time about one of our songs, just saying prayer needs, you know, like, yeah, that song kind of got me through a tough time. It kind of, I'd think about the song, and I can't remember why exactly or what about it, but he's just like, "Oh, I was encouraged by it. You know, my girlfriend dumped me," or something like that. And yeah, I'm glad if a song can touch someone's heart in a way.
Do you remember when you wrote that song? What was going through your mind at that time?
Yeah. I was just reflecting on my life. It was like just thinking about mistakes I'd made and feeling a sense of like, man, I wish I hadn't done that. You know, kind of like repenting song, you know, like a God song, you know, like calling out, kind of an asking for forgiveness song, asking for guidance,
Sure.
wishing. I mean, I don't think it's good to look back and just be bummed about things you've done, But I think it's good to reflect and learn from our mistakes, and yeah, the song's supposed to be positive, it's not like a
Having like a negative or like a
yeah,
sad
yeah.
feel to it.
It's not. I think it's just a song getting back on the right track, recognizing like weaknesses, in myself, and just praying for guidance.
Right. Yeah. And people go fucking nuts during that song.
Yeah.
They go wild.
When I wrote it, I didn't expect it to be like a hot song or whatever, but I was amped a couple times, or one time there was this girl we met that had a prayer needs tattoo.
Whoa.
And I was like, "Oh crap, that's awesome." So obviously the song meant something to her, and she had like hands like in a prayer form, and I was like, "Dang, that's so cool."
Yeah. There's been a couple of people, right, that have like, song lyrics or it's like the semi-sweet cat thing or whatever, like something like a panther. Yeah. How does that make you feel? Does it like kind of like take you aback? Like, whoa, we've like this was just an idea at one point, and then back to what you were saying, like we went across the country and we're sleeping in vans and getting our name out there. Now we're here. Does that blow your mind?
Yeah, I mean, you're speaking specifically about the tattoo thing, or like
yeah.
Oh yeah, it's hard because, I'm just like, wow, that's really cool. Like it's at a show that I'm seeing it, and dang, that's awesome. Thank you for being a fan of what we do, and that. I don't know what else to say. Like it makes me. It's very flattering. Like it's super cool that our music means that much to them, where they would get a tattoo of it. Because I'm not gonna get it. I'm not getting a Tijuana Panthers tattoo. No way, man. And I don't have any tattoos.
Would you feel obligated if Phil and Dan got one and you were the odd one out with that?
Nah, I don't care. No, I don't want a tattoo. I like looking at people's tattoos. Like I think tattoos are cool, but I don't want one. I don't want. Whatever I get, I'll think is stupid. Like in a year, I'll think it's cool for a little bit. And I'm like, man, that's dumb.
Right.
Why did I get that?
Right.
So.
Yeah, I get that. Like, oh, all right, that was. Then I was just there. It's just,
but I admire other people's tattoo. I'm like, hey, that's cool. Like I like tattoos. So
it's a lot more prevalent now within today's culture to have tattoos.
Yeah. Yep.
Wild change.
Yeah, man. It's pretty wild. Even soccer moms, man.
Yeah.
Full sleeves.
It was against the societal norm at a certain point. Because you were either in jail or a serviceman of some sort to have a tattoo at a certain time. And now
motorcycle gang
of like Hell's Angel or something like that. Yeah.
Man, oh man.
There's gonna be tattoos in the metaverse.
Yeah, I think there will be. Yeah, for sure. I think there'll be like tattoo parlors in the metaverse, in the whatever Decentraland. I know those aren't the same thing. There's Zuckerberg's metaverse, and then there's, I don't know if those lands intersect. But yeah, oh for sure, tattoos, man.
Going back to the music, do you feel like your approach to songwriting has changed from like Max Baker to Halfway to 80? Do you feel like there's you approach it differently?
I feel like I approach things differently as a songwriter and utilize different elements, but I'm not so sure if people perceive it that way. It might just sound like the same old crap to them.
I wouldn't say so.
Yeah, I mean to a real like a somebody who's like a dedicated fan, yeah, I think they get different the nuances and stuff like that. But maybe to the general public, it's like, oh, you're in this genre, you do this stuff. That, yep, that's your thing. Everything sounds. I mean, I think we're all like that with music that we're not into or like not super dedicated to. It just sounds the same to me, man. But yeah, to answer your question, yeah, I think I've changed. But I'll never. I don't care about something, the quality sounding the same. I still like stuff we've done all the way, back to Max Baker. I'm not like, okay, I'm done with that. It doesn't matter to me if I'm considered one-dimensional or like as a one-trick pony, I just try to make the best music I can, and whatever comes out of me, I'm not going to try to be something I'm not, and that's just the stuff that comes out of me. Anything that I make, I'm never going for like, this is cool right now, I need to go for this vibe. I mean, when we started the band, we definitely were not, we were making a big mistake if we thought, oh yeah, this is what's cool right now, there's a market for this. There kind of wasn't. Like when me and Phil first started playing as a two-piece, when we technically weren't Tijuana Panthers yet, we were the Pencils. People, I mean, we got shows and it was cool, but there weren't. I'm not saying, oh yeah, we made this sound. We were the first ones to do it.
I'll say it. You guys were the first ones to do it. Jacob. The sound.
Well, okay. Well, I mean, hey, no comment, man. I'm just saying, it was met with from some like, oh, you guys have like, can you guys play my grandpa's like birthday barbecue? Like you guys have that kind of, it's like my grandpa would like you guys. Because you guys have that like old kind of like surf kind of thing.
We're talking about 08 here, right?
No, earlier than that. Like
06?
Early 2000s, like 2002.
2002.
2003.
Yeah, that definitely wasn't, that sound hadn't entered.
Yeah, I mean, there's been traditional like surf bands all along, and different various like 90s, 80s, there's all sorts of bands doing surf inspired stuff.
I mean,
but
look at U2, that album that was on the phones. I mean, that was strictly Dick Dale.
Exactly. That was the main inspiration.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, as far as we knew, we didn't have a big pool of like other bands like us that we knew about, at least. But then I remember playing with, we played with the Traditional Fools at the Smell, like Ty Segall, and that was like one of our first introductions to like somebody else that was kind of surf inspired, like Surf Garage. And Ty Segall's a hard rocker. We're not comparing ourselves to Segall, but we did have a commonality in like some influences, and that was cool. Hearing his more gritty, like like fierce approach,
tenacity,
rockin' surf inspired stuff back then, and then things started to kind of, when Tijuana Panthers started to form, more like 2004-ish, 2005, if I'm not mistaken. Then bands started to, I think Ty Segall probably had a lot to do with that, I'm sure. And I apologize to any influential, talented musicians that I'm leaving out or don't, because I don't know crap. But Ty Segall is just an example of
someone
prominent one that I can remember that I think really was at the forefront of that, like the genre,
Right. And he's expanded his what he's doing sonically since then, which is crazy. All these different kind of sounds. It's cool. It's really cool to see that kind of changing up his direction, not just with one thing, but I mean he's got fuzz and all that other stuff, which
Yeah.
is like harder stoner rock stuff. Yeah, Orange County guy. Love to see it. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, that guy's
Laguna
he's a cool
Beach.
dude too. Super cool dude.
Yeah, spanning back to Max Baker. I didn't know they went back that far with the pencils being 2001, 2002 ish, early 2000s.
Yeah. Yeah, it was Phil's other band that Dan was in, the Fancy Lads, was like, I think that was like 98, 99. And they were doing more of a kind of a rock and roll, but kind of punk inspired, kind of little bit TSOL inspired, rock and roll kind of thing. They were cool. They were a cool band. And then that kind of broke apart. And then Phil kind of hit me up to start the Pencils. So we started jamming together, and that he didn't have a band to play with, so I was the only guy around.
And what were you doing at that time?
Nothing. I was just playing guitar in my room. Wasn't planning on starting a band.
Until the band
Phil kind of made
started
me.
with
Phil
you.
kind of like, come on, let's do something. All right, okay, I guess.
These are the Pepto-Bismol days, eh?
Yeah, Pepto-Bismol days. Yeah, it was
Sure.
rough. It was rough.
Does it kind of bring you back? Like, whoa, like we've done a lot since those days. Since
Oh yeah, yeah. It's crazy to think. I never imagined like we would go the places we went and play with bands that we played with, and it's like beyond imagination. So yeah, it was unexpected surprise.
wow. And this is the 7th release of the band. Halfway to 80.
Dang, I gotta count, man. I don't know.
Max Baker,
Semi Sweet.
Semi-Sweet, Ghost Food. I don't know
Or
if that's
yeah,
in
it was
order.
an EP. Yeah, I mean technically, yeah, but I mean yeah, it's still a release. And
Ghost
then there's
Food, Poster.
Poster. So I guess that's 4. There's gosh,
Bear with
the
us, here,
John
folks.
Wayne.
Oh,
Wayne Interest.
Wayne Interest. Yeah,
What are we at? 5, 6?
I think 5. I
And
wasn't keeping
then
track.
Carpet Denim.
Carpet Denim.
Yeah. Did we do another EP? And
Pull
then
the Chute.
we had another EP. Yeah, Pull the Chute. Yeah. So what is that? 7, 8?
That's 7, and then
7. Yeah.
8.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, and then halfway to 80. So pretty wild, man.
Has your interest in music changed since throughout that span of the 8 releases? Now,
I feel like I'm kind of a creature of habit, Like I haven't really like ventured out too much into completely new realms. But I don't know. In a way, maybe I have. There's music that's more. I'm trying to think of an example. I don't know. Oh, here we go. Big, easy example. Like Mac DeMarco, for instance. That's somebody people know. Like music in that genre. Oh yeah, that's nostalgic for me too. Like hearing 2010s. It's I find now, like then I was like, oh cool, but I don't care. But now I want that music really. I'd say that's a new venture. Going back and listening to stuff from like 2012 or whatever, it brings me back to good times in life. So that doesn't really answer the question of like new. It's not new. But
it's new to you.
Yeah, I just didn't really listen to music much anymore. Now with my job, I can listen to music. And yeah, revisiting revisiting old stuff, and there's some stuff that I wasn't into the vibe at all, but like that's more synth, or I don't know, what's an example? Like a band like Beach House or something. I find, oh yeah, it's kind of it relaxes me. I like the vibe of it. Like, and I'll listen, like, whereas before I just kind of stuck to oldies and whatever. It's just an example, but so I'm a little more, a little broader now.
It's good.
Yeah.
Beach House is good. They got some really, really, really good stuff.
Yeah.
Relaxing stuff.
Yeah, I like to relax, man. I like to relax.
Throughout the 8 albums, was there a specific album that kind of stuck out to you in the way that it either took a bit to get done, or you felt like a really a certain way about it when you were writing it, or something along those lines?
Well, Max Baker took a bit to get done because we were just didn't know what the heck we were doing. We knew nothing about recording. We didn't have anybody to really record us. We weren't signed. We didn't have any management or an agent or anything like that. We had to seek someone out to record us. Songs were coming together slowly, just organically. We didn't set a time, and they just organically kind of arose. And then, all right, we have a collection. Now it's time to record. We got to find somebody to record us. Who's going to record us? So yeah, it's kind of fun to think about that. Our primitive ways, not knowing what the heck we were doing.
Right. Looking back on it now, would you have changed anything though? I mean, if you could go back, would you have changed any of that? Oh
yeah, there's like, oh man, that recording is terrible. Oh, that song is terrible. But then the fans, like, oh, we love that. Like, no, this is better. Listen to this album and this recording. We did it right on this one. Oh, we don't really care about that. Yeah, Max Baker, we love that. So whatever I think is better or an improvement, or, oh man, this song I just wrote, this is so good. This is one of my best. Oh, nobody cares about it. We like this other song, the song that I'm like, it's not even that good. But
was there a song that you thought like, oh yeah, the people will really gravitate towards this, but they ended up not?
That's
really
embarrassing. I don't want to talk about it, man.
Right,
no way.
We're gonna redact it. We're just gonna censor that. Yeah.
No. No, I could. I'm trying to think. I'll try to think of an example.
While you're thinking about that, let me pose this other question here. What is it always live? Are you guys always recording it live?
Yeah. Yeah, we usually do. Yeah, I think every time we've done. We play together the instruments live.
Wow.
Yeah, we just like that. We're not good studio musicians. I hate playing to a metronome. I'm not good at it. It's hard for me to get in the groove. I think for all of us, really, like, it's just we prefer a looser, more raw. We just have to play that way. I'm not, or maybe the other guys, it's just they're doing it for me.
Do you feel not uncomfortable, but like not fully comfortable while on the road, like staying somewhere else or staying in a hotel?
Not at first, but then after a while, like after a few days, you settle in. Like I would get bad pre-trip anxiety, like for going on a tour, especially a long one, like, man, I'm not looking forward to, because I'm a homebody, I like being home. I like to just read and take it easy after work or whatever. But after a few days on the tour, then it just starts to settle in, and going to this hotel, going to that hotel, and yeah, you can enjoy it. It just takes a little bit.
It's a little bit of a shift, maybe.
Yeah, it takes a while to acclimate to the road life.
What's your favorite part about being on the road?
like if I'm driving the van, just it's a good thinking time. Good time to just, because I kind of like driving. I like seeing the sights, and driving can be relaxing. It can be a good time to meditate, think about, I don't know, ideas, and yeah, I don't mind it. I'd say that's a nice time to decompress, like between shows, like being out on the road.
Chad, again, absolute pleasure having you back on. Halfway to 80, the record that we've been talking about, the newest one, released through Innovative Leisure. Go buy it through innovativelleisure.com. It's streamed on all services, Chad's favorite, Spotify, as well as everything from Max Baker to Ghost Food to Poster to, help me out here, Chad. Poster, Semi-Sweet.
Yeah.
Wayne Interest.
There's
Pull the
Shoot. There's Ghost Food. Or yeah, you said Ghost Food. I don't know. What are we missing?
Ghost Food.
Carpet Denim.
That's it, right?
Yeah, you got them.
If we missed one, we're sorry, but you can go check all those at Poster, right? Or do we say
Poster? Yeah, I thought you said Poster, but no.
Maybe I did.
I don't know.
But we're just reiterating. I really like that one, so I'll say it again.
Oh yeah,
Poster. All that stuff can be found on all streaming platforms, and go buy those the vinyls over at innovativeleisure.com, and go check out the Tijuana Panthers website, tijuanapanthers.com, I think is what it is.
Yeah.
That'll all be linked below this, whatever you're listening to it on, and Tijuana Panthers on Instagram to check out tour dates and shows and all that good stuff, right?
Yeah, man.
Chad, you're the best, man. Thank you so much.
You got it.
I can't
Anytime,
wait
my friend.
to watch Holland Drive next time. It's going to be real fun.
That'll be cool, man.
Yeah.
All right.